I mean, you talked a little bit about YGG. What are some of the other core use cases right now that you're seeing, or what are the results?
You know, it's funny. When I founded Spindl, I assumed games would be like most of the users, because obviously games push the entire performance marketing market. On just like counting number of clients, DeFi and finance is actually a bigger user. I think this is a gaming-oriented podcast.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, they're much more natively on-chain. Like we talk about Web 2.5, there is no Web 2.5 in DeFi. Like everything that matters is on-chain because by definition. Right. And so it's much more pivoted there. Also, they just think about the world in a more, what we call it, degen or degenerate way. Like they just think as Web 3 first and Web 2 as an afterthought, which I don't think is a good thing. Like obviously Web 2 is not going away, to be clear, but they just think about it much more natively. Like, so they'll do things like airdrop rewards or NFT mints or referral programs where, you know, if Adam referred me and I generate $1,000 in fees, Adam makes 10% of that on an ongoing basis. Like there's all this cool stuff you can do. And so in some ways, they're a little bit more naive about marketing. Like some of them wouldn't even have known what ROAS was before we started talking about it. On the other hand, they're totally comfortable with coming up with like a CPA or rev share business model and like not even think about CPM or CPC because like it just doesn't compute. Like they don't even think about that. But again, they're equipped with like, oh, but we do have a common transaction record we can all agree on, right? And like they natively build it that way. And I think gaming is obviously much more sophisticated about Web2 marketing, but I think it's a little slower to adopt like all the weird features of Web3 that way.
Do you think that's just because of the development time for high quality games, and it's not a 2-minute thing or a 1-year thing, really?
A 2-year thing.
To develop a good game takes a good couple of years, and we haven't had that length of time yet. Well, it's getting there, but you know,
it's probably that. I think finding the right way to natively incorporate the blockchain, like separate conversation, but there's this on-chain version of Twitter called Farcaster, and they launched this feature called Frames last Friday, which is a big deal in the crypto world. I don't know how much, I'm so in this world, I don't even know how much outside people see it, but it's super cool because it lets you do things in this like Twitter-like experience in a very nested way. So you can run another app inside the app, kind of like what Facebook tried doing with Open Graph 10 years ago, which you'll probably remember.
Yeah.
It's kind of that feeling, but the blockchain makes it a lot easier in the sense that, you know, the blockchain solves identity and payment for you. I mean, not totally, but mostly in a way that it's difficult in Web2 to actually stitch those together. The cool thing about that, just to finish up the thought, is that like you get to use the frame without really thinking about it. It all kind of works. Like I click on the frame and it all kind of works. And like, I don't even understand fully like what's going on blockchain, but it just worked. And I think the challenge in gaming is figure out like Web3 is going to succeed if you enable users to do cool things they can't do on Web2. And if the user doesn't even realize they're on the blockchain. Like, I don't know what happened, but somehow I take this weapon or property in this game and I use it in game B and it all just kind of works. I don't know why, but it all does. And I don't even know what chain I'm on, but I don't care because the game is cool, right? Like that's the point.
To that point, do you think at the moment with some of the, sorry, I'm using this as a Q&A session. Do you think some of the users have been turned off somewhat by some of the games that have been generated over the last year or so because of the quality aspect and the fact that they're just there to generate revenue? Has that had an impact to the potential market?
To most of the Web3 audience is not a games audience. It's like different. It's like the Venn diagram of overlap is like almost non-existent. And that's like the Upptic job is like, how do we push those Venn diagrams to overlap in a way that they aren't today? Do you agree with that, Warren?
Yeah, we basically have like completely different staff if we're going after the Web3 native segment or after we're going after gamers. And the way we make ads, I mean, we don't even make ads when going after Web3 natives. We do more like organic growth hack kind of strategies, working with content creators and things like that. For better or for worse, Web3 natives is still a completely speculative segment. And to your question of like turning off gamers, yeah, if you put that at the forefront, absolutely, I would expect more often than not net negative based on the bad reputation that crypto has deserved based on the percentage of bad actors. That all being said, what we're finding is these games where it's just like, cool, game first, just come in, play this fun game. We're not even going to mention anything about crypto in the ad, in the marketing materials. And then as you come in on your user journey, maybe it's not even in the first week. It could be like as you get deep into the ecosystem that there become options.
Or even find it in the UI at some point. The fact that you could go and win whatever assets from the gate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
You craft a really rare item and you're presented with an option of would you like the ability to take this item into the marketplace, trade with other players? Like there's a lot of more subtle ways we can do this. And that's what we're seeing in the more successful games in our portfolio right now is more that kind of view.
So it is coming back more towards the actual content of the game.
Yeah.
Let Web3 service the game. Don't build the game to service Web3.
We had a really interesting conversation with the CEO of Honeyland, which is coming out in the next month or so, where they basically took a skin, a Magic Eden marketplace, and put it within their game. And so now you're actually having like the full blockchain gaming experience from within a mobile app. And I think that's like a really, really interesting sort of hybrid use case. I think most of these people who play that game specifically, Highland is like very, very focused on the degen crowd. But you can imagine a version of that experience where down the line, you're playing a mobile game, you're trading NFTs within a mobile game, and you're not even leaving the mobile game. I think that's like a really interesting sort of place where we're crossing the streams and really getting to the Web 2.5 moment.